All Three Beards Media podcasts originate from the Gravitate Co-working Studio, sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome into the Hawk's Eye View. I am Andrew Barber with Drew Shipley here. And Drew, you are live in Jacksonville, Florida. Iowa is in the Jacksonville Baseball Classic. Can you just give the people a summary in case they missed it of what you just did? You went live on Twitter a little bit.
You know, I believe that's the first and second time I've ever went live on Twitter, period, whether it's a personal or professional, and it probably showed. However, I do have my cousin-in-law here that was able to hold my phone for me when we did Twitter live with Coach Heller, and I'm pretty pumped, man. Like that dude is a baseball guy. He loves the game. He's very thankful for him and his team to be here in this tournament. Beautiful facility. I'm looking at Everbank Stadium, the home of the Jaguars here in right field. Duval and Raider Tello is hitting bombs over here in left field. So, I mean, the competition, like Coach Heller said in the live, is really mimicking the possibility of what a regional would feel like, right? Not necessarily a double elimination style, but the level of competition. We're talking Auburn, we're talking Virginia. There were two regional hosts last year in the NCAA baseball tournament, and then Wichita State, who I believe we haven't beat in the Rick Heller era. So that's a big monkey on his back come Sunday afternoon for the matinee. We're looking at some weather concerns for tomorrow. 60% chance of rain morning and afternoon, but I believe what I said in the live is kind of like what Iowa is in the summer with weather, like rain forecast. Like it could rain bats out of hell for 45 minutes. It'll be not a cloud in the sky an hour and a half later, something like that. It's rain here in the spring, early spring, February, whatever time frame comes and goes. So it shouldn't be a washout tomorrow, but some weather concerns nonetheless. I'm pumped to see some baseball, man. It's my favorite sport, as you know, and my favorite university. And I just got to talk to Rick Heller, and I'm kind of still fanboying about it, but I'm trying to be semi-professional because this is a semi-professional podcast. But I mean, he had some great stuff there. Go check out our Twitter feed. You can check out approximately 2-3 minutes with Coach Heller. And he would have gave me more if I had more questions prepared, but I didn't. I mean, I was just, this is happening right now.
Right.
I'm in the booth, the radio booth for the University of Iowa that they're going to be in tomorrow. I met John, who's the play-by-play announcer, is going to be solo on the call this weekend. He's introduced me to a whole lot of ball players and coaches down here on the field as their practice is going on here till 8 p.m. Eastern. He's kind of showing me the ropes, man. He knows that I'm just kind of a local podcaster hack, or we're local podcaster hacks just here, catching baseball. So he's been a big help so far and be a resource down the line here, Hawkeye baseball.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah. That's John Steppe, I believe, right?
John Steppe. That's right.
Yep. He is the voice of Iowa baseball and some other sports too. Does a great job. Follow him on Twitter. He's a good follow. Yeah. But yeah, it's great that you're making connections down there. And these are some of the neat things that we get to do being a part of this podcast. So did we determine where the Jacksonville Baseball Classic is televised?
So it's being televised on the D1 Baseball America website, paid subscription only.
Okay.
So there is a way to watch it if you are willing to pay. I will say what I do. I download the Varsity app and I listen to John's call on the radio because I like baseball on the radio. I'm old school, man. Like that's what we did as kids, or otherwise, it was the Braves on TBS or the Cubs on WGN, and otherwise baseball was on the radio. So that's how I primarily take in Iowa baseball, especially in the non-con. But I mean, top 25 team, Andrew, they're number 18 in the latest D1 America baseball rankings. Two other top 20 teams, number 10, Virginia, number 18, Auburn, back-to-back Friday, Saturday night. Got Brody Brecht on the bump tomorrow night and got Marcus Morgan on Saturday. So, I mean, I think we have the 1-2 punch to be competitive if we can keep the free passes down, Andrew. They had 42 strikeouts. Iowa amassed 42 strikeouts from the starting rotation last weekend in South Carolina in 3 ball games, man. Like they can fan some people, but they also give some free passes away as well. I believe 16 or 17 free passes over the weekend. So got to get those numbers down. But man, it's early February. It's baseball in Florida. It's 70 degrees. It's beautiful. I love it. Let's go.
Yeah, I love it as well. So Heller ball, that's a term that a lot of Iowa fans love to use. I don't think we've ever really defined what Heller ball is, but can you define it for people who may not know? And I'm asking this question for me because I've heard the term a lot, and what is it?
It's kind of funny. So if you were to define it, you would define it as like Kirk Ferentz coaching baseball. The fundamentals. You will be a master of the fundamentals. You will throw strikes. You will work the count deep to get those pitchers out of the off the bump. Clean baseball. He preaches clean baseball. If you see the Twitter feed, that's what he hopes for this weekend. Clean baseball, whether they win or not. He wants it to be a learning experience. So I mean, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Throw strikes. And I mean the bats on this team. I believe they hit 8 home runs over the last weekend. I'll tell you right now, there's short porches here. 321 to left, 317 to right. There's going to be some bombs here this weekend.
All right.
And you know what? He likes to put the runners on the move too. He likes the hits and runs. He likes the steals. He's not afraid to do some squeezes. If you're not familiar with a squeeze, Andrew, I know you're not primarily baseball, but bunting a runner in from third base.
Okay, that's a squeeze play. Got it.
Yes. Advancing runners. Just smart ball, fundamental ball. Run the bases, throw strikes, and the sticks come around. I mean, that's what Heller ball is.
Hit and run baseball. Be really good at those things that you were talking about, and then base running is a huge part of that. So when I think of that, I think of like the Cleveland Guardians. They're not at the professional level. I've heard them be talked about, a team that kind of does that. Yeah. So okay, I think I get it from a high level overview.
I'll give you a 10,000-foot view. That's about as good as I can put it, Andrew.
Yeah, awesome. That's perfect, Drew. Well, that matchup with Virginia, that's tomorrow night.
That is tomorrow night. Scheduled for 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll see. It is the nightcap of the tournament, so could get bumped back. Which I love night baseball, so I'm good with that. Get some more photographs on the field. Got my cousin Heath down there shooting with the camera right now. We'll see what he comes back with.
Sweet.
And man, like it's gonna be a great trip. Our Airbnb is like a 5-minute drive from here. Real close. Traffic wasn't bad at all. I can't wait to get here tomorrow. Hopefully the weather holds. So
I hope so too, for your sake. And so that Virginia matchup, that's probably the best matchup of the weekend. Is there any other names? Like, we know some of the great names on Iowa's team. Are there any names from Virginia and Auburn that Iowa fans should be aware of?
I'll be honest with you, Andrew. I haven't brushed up on. We haven't got our media kit yet, so we don't have the rosters, we don't have the matchups, the scorecards, and all that stuff. We'll get those in the morning when we show up. So to be honest with you, I don't know. With it being just the second weekend in college baseball, I don't know how much data there is out there other than previous season, maybe preseason All-American watch list or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but you know what? Since you said that, I'm gonna brush up on the opposition, and I will report back over the weekend at some point. Post games or something. They got the post game press conference area set up right behind me here, so they'll do it just like football or baseball. Got access to that, so we'll go into there, maybe go Twitter live again, and actually get to ask a question as opposed to in my new home state of Maryland. Didn't get to ask mine there for the women's game, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, in baseball, I commonly just think of at a major league level, like the pitchers, like it's this pitcher versus this pitcher. I mean, it's not exactly how that works, but when you think of it as the common fan, you kind of think about the pitchers' duels, pitchers' matchups. And I was wondering if you had any insight on that.
Let's put it this way. Traditionally, college baseball, 3-game series, right? For like the, I don't know, normal series, Big Ten play, whatever. The aces go on Friday nights.
Okay.
So it'll be Brody Brecht on the mound tomorrow night, and followed by Marcus Morgan. I mean, you're looking at 1A, 1B. I mean, they both could be aces, honestly. They give this team a real shot of coming away with 2 wins here, and 2 wins here is it's gonna go far come May.
Right, towards maybe making a regional, and then. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wild to host a regional in Duane Banks? That would be sweet.
Yeah. Come on over to Iowa and let's go to Duane Banks and co-host from Duane Banks.
I mean, they're number 18 right now. You only have to be the top 16.
We can do that.
So, I mean,
seems like an attainable goal.
Yeah.
Given where they are now. So that's great. We will be bringing you baseball coverage all summer long then, because we have an outstanding baseball team to follow. So let's shift the conversation a little bit and switch it up and talk a little bit of men's basketball. That's another team that's getting hot right now. They are on fire. They've picked up 3 quad 1 wins in 5 days, 2 because of the wins that they had over Wisconsin and Michigan State, a third because Minnesota is now in the top 75 of the net rankings, which pushes that to a quad 1 road victory for Iowa. So now they are 3-7 in quad 1 games, which is not spectacular, but it's better than the 0 they had before last Saturday, which is when they picked up their first quad 1 win of the season.
It's funny you say that, Andrew. 3-7 in quad 1 wins. You know who else is 3-7 in quad 1 wins?
Isn't it Nebraska?
Michigan State.
Oh, interesting. And they're viewed as solidly in.
And their net is 21. So
yeah,
man, I don't know how that all these mathematicians and all these geniuses, right, coming up with all these equations of strength of schedule and strength of schedule against schedule and opponents on the road, opponents on the what the frick ever, man. Like,
yeah, and margin of victory matters in the net as well. So So Perkins missed a couple late game free throws, and Iowa still won comfortably, but it would have been better if Iowa had won by double digits, because a double-digit victory on the road over a quad 1 team is the best outcome that you can have according to the net rankings. Yeah. But that's not really going to make or break. And for Iowa, it's not really about where they finish in the net rankings. For them, it's about racking up quad 1 wins.
So, yeah, I mean, so we're talking Murph and Andy. We're talking. I can't remember if it was today or yesterday's show that only 4 Big Ten teams have an RPI of 32 or lower, or net ranking of 32 or lower. And the reason why that 32 number is important is nobody under 32 has ever been left out of the tournament. Even with all these new quad one wins for Iowa. Iowa is now 67 in the net?
62 as of today.
62 because they picked up the Minnesota win. Minnesota. That's still a far cry to be a shoe-in. But I mean, they got 2 quad one opportunities coming up in the last 4.
3 actually.
Is it 3? Because
Northwestern's in the top 75 currently, and if they remain in the top 75, that road game will count as quad one.
Sure. Yeah.
So, basically for Iowa, it's got to split Illinois at worst. If they lose on the road, they got to win at home. And they got to beat Northwestern on the road. And then in that scenario, beat Penn State at home. So either way, any way you slice it, Iowa essentially has to go 3-1 over their last 4. Like they could sweep Illinois and beat Northwestern and lose to Penn State. And that Penn State loss at home wouldn't matter because of the quad one victories that they pick up.
Yeah.
They would probably be right in that last 4, maybe even in one of the last 4 byes in that scenario.
And man, what Penn State just did to Illinois last night.
Right. Yeah. Illinois kept letting them back in the game, and Penn State has dismissed their leading scorer from the team.
Yeah.
They didn't have their leading scorer, and they beat Illinois at home, and Illinois was up by 7 with 40 seconds left and lost the game.
That's wild.
Strange things happen on the road.
And Penn State also pissed away a 12-point first half lead as well.
Yeah, strange things happen on the road in Big Ten basketball.
Yeah.
Especially men's basketball. It's just life on the road in the Big Ten is just crazy.
I think you're right, Andrew. Any way you slice it, I think it's a 3-1 mandatory. It's mandatory 3-1 to be in the discussion. And I think that also includes a Big Ten tournament win to get you to 20, the magical 20 win mark. Because the 3-1 puts us at 19-13 and 11-9 in the Big Ten.
19-12 and 11-9, I believe.
11-9. Okay, I'm 1 game off on both.
11-9, 19-12 overall in the season, which is
I think you're going to need a 20-13.
Yeah, I think it's more about who you play at the Big Ten tournament and whether or not a loss on Thursday of the Big Ten tournament
knocks you out
would be considered a bad loss. Basically, it probably would be because it would be someone who's outside of the top 50 in net if you're playing on Thursday of the Big Ten tournament. Yeah. But I also don't know exactly all of the seeding scenarios because there's a lot of different seeding scenarios because there's so many teams close together in the Big Ten standings.
Because neutral court's top 50, right? Road is 75.
Yeah, road is top 75. Home is top 30.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you need that. Yeah. So really a Big Ten tournament win against someone who's not in the top 50 doesn't really mean much for Iowa.
Sure.
A neutral court win over someone who is in the top 50 does mean much. And let me just pull up the net rankings so I feel because I know there's only 4 Big Ten teams in the top 32, but I'm looking at the top 50. And then the other consideration here that we got to have, really the conversation is, can Iowa make the NCAA tournament? And they're not necessarily competing against other Big Ten teams for that spot, maybe Nebraska to an extent, but really like the other bubble teams, right? So
the loser of Drake, Indiana State?
Not necessarily. Like we're like last night, Ole Miss losing to Mississippi State on the road was a good thing for Iowa because it kind of damages Ole Miss's resume, puts Mississippi State solidly in, pushes Ole Miss out further from the bubble. Cincinnati lost a home game to Oklahoma State, who's sub-500 team, and Cincinnati was on the bubble. Memphis is floating right around the bubble. If they took a loss, we have to look at like the other bubble teams that are out there. not necessarily the other conference teams. So I was in that bubble conversation. Unfortunately for us, Providence beat Xavier. That was a quad one win for Providence. We kind of wanted Providence to lose. So we're going to be watching. If you're an Iowa fan, you have to watch some of these other conference games in other conferences and be rooting for certain teams in order to kind of aid Iowa's cause, as we just need Minnesota to keep winning too. Like Minnesota, Ohio State, Minnesota's at home. They can't lose to Ohio State at home.
That's right. Yeah.
Or we'll lose a quad one win. So at this time of year, we're cheering for Iowa, but we're also cheering for some other teams who will help Iowa, or other teams to lose that will help Iowa because they're on the bubble and it pushes them out.
Oh, it's so exhausting.
It's exhausting and exciting all at the same time.
This is why Lenardi has a job. Like literally, like this is all he does. This is all this man does for ESPN. And he'll have a new bracket of 68 the day after the tournament's over. Man, I don't know.
I don't mind Lenardi, but there's a website called bracketmatrix.com. And I'm a real nerd. Bracket Matrix compiles every bracketologist that's out there, Lenardi and everybody, and tells you where they project Iowa to be or every team to be.
So basically is a consensus.
It's a consensus. And then once the bracket is released, they do a recap of like how accurate everyone was with their final bracketology. Usually Lenardi is on the lower end of that spectrum.
Yeah, and then who's the one?
I'm not calling Lenardi a fraud.
Who's the one that Miller and Condon have on? Shelby Mast? Was that Bracket Wag?
Yeah, it's something similar to Bracket Matrix.
And he does like he's been like 66, 67 out of 68, like the last 4 seasons.
He might know a little something.
Yeah, no.
Particularly, but hey, I mean, this is a great feeling because even like a month ago or 2 weeks ago, even we felt like Iowa was completely out of it. Yeah. And that there was no chance. So we at least, I mean, hope is a dangerous thing, but we at least have the illusion of hope. And we're in late February, coming up on March, and we can at least hope that the Iowa has some sort of a chance to make it in. So
I mean, you're absolutely right. And to be fair, wasn't I the glass half full kind of guy a month ago when the sky was falling, and I said that Fran's young teams are the ones that peak in February and March?
Yeah, you were totally the glass half full guy. So kudos to you.
I will take that.
I love how these young guys are coming on. Owen Freeman had a huge game against Wisconsin. He had a lot of foul trouble against Michigan State, but then Ben Krikke stepped up and he had like a 20-15 game, almost like 18-14 or 15. I can't remember, but he was huge, rebounding the ball. He had to play the 5 spot for a while because of the Freeman and Dembele foul trouble. And
I mean, Fran even said like he challenged Krikke to be the rebounder we brought him in to be. Hung 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. I mean, where's that all season?
Right.
I mean, we know he's a mid-range killer on the offensive side. We know that. He's good for a double-double. It was good. It was good to see. 100% was good to see with the foul trouble. If you told me, I was following the first half through David Eichholt Twitter alone, and I don't think he provided a score update in the whole first half. He just said, "Oh, and Freeman foul trouble, just foul trouble all around." And I could have swore it was like at least a 12-point Michigan State lead. Like, you turned it on, they're up by a dozen. Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's a myth at this point that Izzo's untouchable in this time of year. I think it's becoming more myth than fact. Everybody's like, oh, Tom Izzo in March. You don't want to face Tom Izzo in March. His team's always peak in March. Tom Izzo, Michigan State. Da 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 da. Haven't we not kicked their ass in East Lansing the last 3 years?
Yeah.
Didn't we beat them at 40 last year?
No.
Something like that?
Last year was the epic stare down for Fran McCaffrey and the miracle comeback.
Okay. But the one before that was like a 40-point beatdown.
Yeah, we beat them. Well, no, the one before that miracle comeback was Peyton Sandfort had 2 shots to win the game, and we lost by 2.
Okay. Anyway, they're not untouchable from the narrative of Tom Izzo and March type bullshit, right?
Right. Fran has won 5 of his last 6 against the Spartans.
Wow.
That's pretty good. And then also, I don't know if you saw it, but Chad Lysico put out a stat that like the last 6 seasons, like Fran McCaffrey has like a 70% winning percentage in February and March. So the late season Fran fade is also a myth that we can debunk.
Yeah, I saw all the writers say Fran fade ? Retweeting all that.
Yeah. So we can get rid of the Izzo myth and we can get rid of the Fran myth.
Fair enough.
All at the same time. Yeah. But I just love that Patrick McCaffrey has accepted the 6-man role. It seems to be like excelling in it. He was perfect from the field and had 14 points in that first half game at Michigan State. That's pretty huge when you have Owen Freeman, who doesn't really contribute anything because of his foul trouble. Yeah. And Perkins wasn't really his best offensive game either. You kind of need Patrick to step up in that scenario, and he did. Awesome.
I wish I was a fly on the wall in the McCaffrey household, because like I want to know what's going through Patrick's head. We all know he's had issues, but like how he's overcome them. Like I want to hear somebody have a conversation with him and be like, how have you overcome this? How have you, taken this back to the court when you didn't have to? You didn't even have to come back. All the doubters were saying, oh, you're soft, daddy's boy type stuff, all the haters saying stuff like that. To see him come back in the 6-man role is encouraging, and I'm very happy for him. It's great.
Me too. Apparently Iowa had a players only meeting before the Wisconsin game. Mm-hmm. And Connor McCaffrey was there too. And apparently that players only led meeting has really sparked this, or at least the players are giving credit to that player led meeting, talking about a lot of things about player leadership. But I think Perkins and Sandfort are a big part of that. And another thing is we have to call out Perkins' consistency. I know that Tuesday night wasn't his best game, but he's been consistent for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, to point out your point, I felt this team lacked a leader, right? About a month ago, we talked about when they were sliding, this team didn't have a leader. So again, be a fly on the wall in that locker room. What does necessarily a players meeting or players only meeting entail? What's that look like? And you're never going to know, right? Because they say, well, that's team business and we're going to keep it within our walls and we're going to handle business, this, that, and the other. I mean, to me, when you say something like that, it sounds like you're questioning the team's effort, right? You're not talking about their abilities. We know Peyton Sandfort can shoot. We know Owen Freeman can board. We know Tony Perkins can drive and deliver assists, right? Like we know all these things. So like, are these player only meetings a matter of lack of player effort, or like what do you see as the point in a players only meeting? I guess is what I'm getting at, roundabout way.
Well. So I'm going to go to like my coaching experience and my years of experience of being part of a team.
Sure.
As well. But really what I've always wanted as a coach when I coached middle school basketball for 3 years when I was in college, and then also when I was part of the high school basketball team at Pella, what was always kind of preached by our coaches then was something that I carried with me, was basically that at some point the players have to really buy in, and it can't just be the coach's voice. Every practice, every game, that's the only one that you're listening to. And I think basically that players only meeting that Iowa had, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm just guessing, was something like, guys, we have to like hold each other accountable. And also we have to play with a sense of urgency. Because like there's a little bit of the time is now for Perkins because his status is up in the air. Peyton Sanford's showing up on draft boards. We know Patrick is done, even though he could take another year. So I think those guys probably stepped up and said, hey, we want another crack at the NCAA tournament, but if we're going to get it, time is now. Like we don't – that's kind of what my message would be if I was a team leader who called that meeting. So my guess is that Perkins or Sanford or somebody or them together probably called that meeting and said something to that effect. And maybe in not that nice of words. I think I bundled it up a lot nicer. I think there might have been some harder words said there.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's when you call a team meeting, it's the leaders who call it or the perceived leaders of the team who call it, and they speak and then everybody else speaks. Yeah. Kind of how I would envision that.
Fair enough.
So
let's just throw it down right now. Tournament, yes or no?
Play in.
Damn it.
Was that going to be your answer? It's okay. We think with the same mind sometimes.
Yes. For what? Fran's 7th consecutive tournament appearance? 7? And 2 of them are play-ins?
Wasn't it before the season? I can't remember which one of us it was. Didn't one of us say, wouldn't it be funny if this was the team that took Fran to the Sweet 16?
I think it was you. Yeah, I think you said that. Yeah.
Every year, a play-in team goes from the play-in to the Sweet 16.
Iowa's going to be St. Peter's, baby, of 2024.
I'm just saying a team comes out of nowhere to make the Sweet 16. I'm not saying that's going to be Iowa, but if we make the play-in, I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to take a break here from all of our wonderful sponsors at Revelton, Gravitate, and Wintrust. And we'll be back to preview the big game that's happening tonight in Iowa women's basketball.
Let's do it.
Why take the best corn in the world? Why take the best corn in the world and make it into fuel when you could make it into whiskey? That's the question that launched Revelton, Iowa's most visible and fastest growing distillery. Owners Rob and Christy Taylor embrace the grain-to-glass philosophy, sourcing ingredients locally and overseeing on-premises production and bottling at their facility in Osceola. One sip and you'll agree that Revelton's handcrafted whiskeys, gins, and vodkas are the best you've ever tasted. And with the launch of their rye whiskey, made with 100% Iowa-grown rye and corn, and their new bourbon coming soon, there's more Revelton to love than ever. Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. The great thing about working from home is working from home. The worst thing is working from home, especially for face-to-face collaborations with customers and coworkers. And let's face it, coffee shop meetings are neither private nor professional. So skip the trip to Starbs and investigate Gravitate Co-working Space. For more than 10 years, Gravitate has provided large and small office and conference spaces perfect for hosting meetings, workshops, or other events, as well as private phone booths for confidential conversations. Plus, all spaces include secure fiber internet, free coffee, and access to a kitchenette. All you need is your laptop. Gravitate does the rest. And renting space at Gravitate is surprisingly affordable. An hour of office space costs about the same as venti caramel macchiatos and breakfast sandwiches for two. Daily and monthly rates are also available with no long-term commitment. Learn more at gravitatecoworking.com. That's gravitatecoworking.com.
Are you in the market for a new house and unsure of the mortgage process? Want to know that you have someone looking out for you? Kyle Lehman from Wintrust Mortgage is a down-to-earth, knowledgeable lender who can be there for you in your corner. He can work with you in any of the 50 states and is just what you need to expand your home search. Kyle will work with you through the entire process with little to no work from you. Take the worry of the mortgage process out of the equation so that you can focus on looking for your dream home. Contact Kyle at www.wintrust.com/Kyle-Lehman or call him at 515-473-0546.
All right, welcome back in. Thank you, as always, to our sponsors. We appreciate you. And let's move it on to Iowa women's basketball. Caitlin Clark, all-time leading scorer on NCAA women's basketball level. She passed that mark with that logo 3. You get to see the highlights. You get to see it live, Drew.
I watched the whole thing. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's right. We were texting back and forth. Man, I had some chills going on.
Do we know what the Peacock number did on that, by the way? Do we know what the broadcast number was? By chance? I didn't even look to pay attention, but I'm sure NBC Universal made a shit ton of money.
For sure.
Yep. I watched the whole thing for sure.
Yeah, I had chills, man. I had chills.
It was great
on my body. I thought
it was classy what Michigan did. All the players writing letters to Caitlin.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Did you not hear that?
Maybe briefly. Tell us more.
I mean, I guess all the players pre-wrote letters to Caitlin Clark, congratulating her on breaking the record. How they are inspired by her. Good luck and stuff like that. So it was all individually from each player. I believe there was something else. Like I think even friendship bracelets were made, like a la Taylor Swift. I'm not quite sure. Something like that. Real classy, honestly.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Okay. All right. Michigan women's basketball. The anti-Juwan Howard.
Thumbs up.
Big thumbs up. Good job, Michigan women's basketball. We respect you. Hope you make the NCAA tournament. I don't know if you will, but I hope you do.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, just cool moment. And then she goes on to drop like 49. And for a while, it looked like maybe she could just throw down 60. But it's like, all the greats in basketball that we think of, Jordan specifically, Kobe, LeBron, whether you like these guys or not, it's just they all had kind of that force of nature where they could just like seemingly impose their will on a basketball game. And Caitlin and Steph Curry has that too. And Caitlin Clark has the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
she's in that stratosphere for me where like you know that, oh, okay, she's just going to take over. She's just going to impose her will.
Yeah, I mean, there's not even any more words to say about her. I mean, at this point, it's what's the season going to end up looking like? What is the end result? Is it a Final Four? Is it a national championship appearance? Is it winning the Natty? Like, I think that's the question now. We know she's the GOAT, right? I don't care what Cheryl Swoop says, even though apparently she walked it back a little bit and actually apologized to her personally, from my understanding, in the last couple of days. I don't even care about any of that small shit anymore. Like we need to get to March as quickly as possible when it's concerned to the Iowa women. I mean, big game tonight against Indiana, right? Top 15 matchup, I believe.
Yeah, and just big in the sense that Iowa needs to keep winning to keep pace with Ohio State, and then have a home game with Ohio State at the end of the year that will decide the regular season Big Ten champion.
Sure.
Which that is an achievement because they haven't won that in the Caitlin Clark era. So winning that at home in front of the fans has got to be like the short-term goal, right? Not the overall goal of the season, but to win that and then win the Big Ten tournament and then go on and do well in the NCAA tournament. I feel like that's probably the goal for this bunch.
So let me ask you this. They have to win the Big Ten tournament or win the Big Ten outright, rather, to get a 1 seed at this point, barring the rest of their losses, right? Because they're already number 4 with as is, right? Indiana capable of beating Iowa tonight. Honestly, capable. Not saying they are, and I don't think they will. Capable. So just call it an L, right? Number 4. Big Ten tournament loss. I don't know, somewhere down the line. I don't know. 5 losses. Is 5 loss Iowa going to get a 1 seed?
Probably not.
Because the top 10 and the women are pretty. It's top loaded. It really is.
Yeah.
I don't think they can afford more than one more. In any setting, whether that's Indiana tonight or in the Big Ten tournament, regardless, I don't think they can afford one more or more than one.
But it's sort of like what we talked about with the men, but even more like less margin for error and getting a 1 seed. If the Iowa women win out, and that includes a win tonight against Indiana and at home against Ohio State, that's a 1 seed lock for Iowa.
Oh yeah, that's a lock then. Yeah.
Sure. Win out in the regular season, it's a lock.
Yep.
Basically. Or 1 loss in the regular season and win the Big Ten tournament, probably a lock for a 1 seed in that scenario too.
Let me ask you this: does it matter?
It only matters from the perspective of, for me personally, I know that the team won't say this, but they don't want to be a 2 seed in the South Carolina region. If you're not a 2 seed if you're the highest 2 seed, then you're probably not going to be in the South Carolina region.
Right, because it's reverse order, right? So the lowest 2 seed faces the highest 1 seed potentially in the scheduling. So the number 8 overall seed would be the 2 seed in the South Carolina region.
Yeah.
And I don't think they would say that publicly either, but I don't think there's any scenario they drop below 7, regardless of what happens. Right? Like
lose out, but that's not a likely scenario.
That's not likely, no.
Right. Lose 5 games in a row. Lose the last right.
Yeah.
Which not happening.
No.
So I think you're right, but I think it would be cool to see Iowa on the 1 line. Again, I don't think that's something that they've ever been in the Caitlin Clark era.
Not in the Caitlin Clark era, no, because they were the 2 seed last year, right?
I don't think they've ever been higher than a 2 seed in the Caitlin Clark era.
Not in Caitlin Clark. Or are you talking like Lisa Bluter era? Because obviously they haven't in Caitlin Clark.
I don't know about the Bluter era. I'd have to go back and do my research on that.
Then they have a 90s Final Four team.
Yeah, that might have been a 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Unprecedented. Let's just say it until we are proven otherwise.
And so, I think there's a couple goals here that Caitlin Clark definitely wants. Big Ten regular season champion, a 1 seed, and combo that with the Big Ten tournament, and then hopefully get another chance at the NCAA tournament championship. Now, it's a tall task, right? But if you're a 1 seed, I feel a lot better about it. I feel a lot better about making the Final Four, I guess I should say.
Like the great catcher Jake Taylor once said, there's only one thing left to do, and it's win the whole fucking thing.
Right.
All of it.
Yeah. And
I mean, again, we've said all the all the extravagant Caitlin Clark things. We know this team is capable of doing it. again, cannot get to March any faster. I don't know. I mean, I want to see the game tonight, which we might actually get this cut in time. We get back over to the Airbnb and get some chicken wings and some pizza. Get a catch tip here, but yeah. I mean, I want to see. I just want to see dominance. I want to see them go the distance this year, and if that happens, Caitlin Clark going to Indiana to play with Aaliyah Boston.
Oh yeah, she can go out on top if they win it all. I mean, there's no reason to come back. Go out on top. That's it. Take your trophy. Go to the WNBA and win your trophies in the WNBA.
For sure.
Tonight's game, I think it's just a key as to kind of like what happened the first time around with Indiana. I think we frustrated Holmes a little bit. There was a little bit of Indiana foul trouble. Indiana maybe isn't the deepest team. And so if you get their starters in foul trouble, especially Maura McNeil, she's the primary defender on Clark. If she picks up cheap fouls, kind of like she did last game, then Caitlin Clark's just going to drop 40 like I believe she did last game, and Iowa's going to roll.
This would have been a hot take in October, but I'll say it now. This is a 20-10 game for Hannah Stolke. 20-10 double-double.
Love it.
I think she's going to run Mackenzie Holmes right off the freaking court, 94 feet at a time. Just going to run her ass into the ground.
I remember her being an advantage for Iowa the first time around, so it wouldn't shock me if that was close to what her stat line was tonight. Yep. Either way, I think that now that the record is behind Iowa, there can be kind of a renewed focus on this game and the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I know Indiana just got blown out by Illinois, so they're maybe a little bit upset about that.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
But Iowa probably isn't the team if you're looking to bounce back. That's probably not the next team you want to see on the schedule when you're looking to bounce back.
Probably not, no.
So I think there's a couple things that are going Iowa's way beyond the obvious. Caitlin Clark. And Hannah Stolke, which we think is a good matchup against Holmes.
Yep.
So I'm going to go out and say this will probably be like a high-scoring game. But I think Iowa just pulls away a little bit and wins by double digits in the fourth quarter. So I think it'll be like 85-74 Iowa tonight.
I'm going 88-80.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think the game will be in question. I think maybe some late free throws or like a late layup makes it, an 8-point game. I don't think it'll be in question in the second half. Maybe a battle, maybe 5-point game, something at halftime. Adjustments by Bluter's bunch, I think, will be too much. Give me 88-80 Hawks.
Cool. I dig it. I think it'll be a fun matchup. It's on Peacock again, and just a few minutes.
Yep. Quick baseball prediction. Three games this weekend. Virginia, Auburn, Wichita State. Where do the Hawks go this weekend?
We beat the two ranked teams and lose to Wichita State inexplicably. I'm going to go with a weird weekend for Iowa baseball.
You know what? I would take that. Like I'm looking at it as a 2-1 regardless. I want a 2-1 weekend. One of the ranked teams go down and whatever. If it's both, that's great. But I'm going 2-1 as well.
Brody Breck's not losing, so I don't know where the other where the one loss can come from. But Brody Breck's not losing.
11 strikeouts opening day last weekend. So hopefully we see that. If we see that again tomorrow night, they're going to be in the ballgame.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
Well, you enjoy your Jacksonville weekend. Keep us up to date, and I will try to watch some of it, catch some highlights maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that subscription is like. But I'm sure it's not too much. So I will catch you later, man. Thank you for hopping on. Thank you to all of our sponsors, the people listening. Pay attention to our Twitter. We're probably going to put a lot of stuff out on Twitter from Drew's weekend. So in the next few days and probably after. So go check it out. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.